Hello, in this video we're looking at issue 19 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. We're finishing off our terrain collection for the first battle map as the fighting spills out from the Necron tombs into the manufactorums of Megaria. Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
And we're bringing you issue 19 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine today. In this issue, we got the third and final set of the Munitorum Armoured Containers. So we can finish off the terrain for our battle map we've been using in the previous issues. And if you'd like to see that on the battlefield, you can find the time code for the battle report in the description or using the chapter files. But first off, as always, we're going to have a quick look through the issue. First up, we have a battle record from the Manufactorum battle zone. So Megaria is a Manufactorum planet, and the fighting over the last few issues has spilled out from the Necron tombs into the Manufactorum districts themselves. So it goes over what a Manufactorum would look like. You've got the various cargo haulers and trains and containers, as you might expect, and little servo skulls. Then we have a battle record here, so you can decide which sector. You can come up with sector names and what goods are produced and so on. And then there's a little map here, which we'll be using in our games. We'll be fighting 3 battles and keeping track of who wins and which area we're fighting over, as these Space Marines try to maintain control over the Manufactorums. Next up is some background on the Reclusium, another part of a Space Marine command structure. It has all the chapter's chaplains who are in charge of the sort of spiritual well-being of the chapter, making sure that all of its Marines stay loyal to the Emperor and do all their daily prayers and duties. And they also maintain the chapter's traditions and relics and the history of the chapter and the remains of previous heroes. And you can see a chaplain there in his distinctive black armour with his Crucius Arcanum and his skull mask. And on the next page it goes over the ranks. So the head chaplain is the Master of Sanctity, and then below him is the Reclusiarch, and then down from there. And then chaplains are allowed to take the Crucius Arcanum into battle, as it says here, and they also wear a Rosarius, which is a portable shield generator shaped in a sort of cross and chain. And some more background on the Necron waking up. So they went into stasis allegedly 60 million years ago, if you believe the Eldari. But since have started waking up due to hostile raids or power failures and so on. Necrons have been waking up in dribs and drabs. Some tomb worlds were raided, some haven't woken up yet, and some are just starting to wake up. And it mentions how those different dynasties are all technically controlled by the Silent King, but are pretty prone to combat with it amongst themselves because they all think themselves superior to all the others. Then it mentions the Triarch here, who are the leaders of the Necron tier dynasties, which is a council of 3 Pharaons, led by the Silent King, and they establish all the rules which the dynasties are expected to follow, while the Triarch Praetorians tasked with enforcing all these rules and codes. And then we have the build guide for the Munitorum Armoured Container we got with this issue. Obviously this is exactly the same as the previous one. And as always, you can have it open or closed, and they made theirs closed. Then the painting guide, fairly similar again. Screamer pink barrels, Abaddon black crates, and a Crag blue cargo container, although you are painting the sort of middle panel grey in some places. Then doing recessed shades with Agrix Earthshade, and then doing some dry brushing as well, which we learnt about in a recent issue. Just make sure with the cargo container, you only dry brush the upper bits, because that's where the light would catch. It also makes the bottom look a bit dingier, and provides a nice contrast, and then going over all the gold details as we have before. And here's the finished models, and I'll hand you over to Will so he can tell you about the game we're going to be playing.
So here we are for our game, War in the Factorum. The fighting on Megaria has spilled out into the manufacturing districts out of the Necron tomb complex. According to the story here, the Space Marines have successfully damaged the Necron repair facility, but the Necrons are not going to give up the moon without a fight. And you can see here we've got the same map as we saw earlier in the battle record. There are 3 locations, A, B and C, and it says we should play the following game 3 times and roll on the chart in the earlier section to see which strategic locations we're going to be fighting over for each of those 3 battles. So we'll do that before we start the game, and we'll show you that when we get there. For the mission briefings, the Necrons are now fully awakened and they've emerged from their tombs. The Space Marines are trying to ambush and destroy Necron commanders like Royal Wardens that are directing the Necrons, whereas obviously the Royal Wardens need to be protected and they need to prevent the Space Marines from securing any of the industrial facilities to support their own war effort. So here we have our setup instructions. We've got the larger battle mat. We've got all the terrain now, so the 3 containers and then ammunition crates and barrels in the places indicated. The Space Marine army is 5 Assault Intercessors and the Primaris Captain, whereas the Necrons have 10 Necron Warriors and the Royal Warden. The Space Marines start within 3 inches of their battlefield edge with 1 Assault Intercessor on point E. The Necrons have 1 Warrior on point B, the Royal Warden on point A, and the rest of the Warriors obviously in coherency and within 3 inches of their board edge. We have a couple of new rules to learn for this issue. We've got a new weapon type, which is grenades, which the Space Marines will be able to use in this game. Grenade type weapon can only be used by 1 model in a unit that is shooting, so even if you have multiple models with grenades, only one of them can do so in a given shooting phase, and they can't attack with any other shooting weapons when they do that. There's also a bit about blast weapons, and this is a rule that some weapons have. Blast weapons always have a random number of attacks, but if it's targeting a unit with 6 to 10 models, then it always has a minimum of 3 hits. And it doesn't actually say it here, but if it's targeting a unit with 11 or more models, it always makes the maximum number of attacks that it can make. Then we have the profiles for 2 different grenade weapons, frag grenades and crack grenades, and as you can see on the right, the units that have these, that we already have, are the Assault Intercessors, Primaris Captain, Librarian in Phobos Armour, and the Primaris Lieutenant, so they'll be able to use those in future games. The frag grenade has a 6-inch range, it's grenade type, D6, so it makes D6 shots. It's only strength 3 with no AP and 1 damage, but it does have the blast special rule, so it has a minimum number of shots against larger units. The crack grenade only makes 1 shot, but it's strength 6 and AP -1 and does D3 damage, so it's better for taking out a single heavily armoured target. And then we just have our game walkthrough as usual, starting with the Space Marines. They get the first turn. Nothing much to mention here, but there's a couple of tactical tips for when you might want to move normally and shoot, or when you might want to advance. In general, it suggests that if you have a melee-focused unit, then it probably wants to advance if it's not going to be in range to shoot or to get closer to the enemy, whereas a ranged unit might only want to move a small distance to get itself in range. Yep, so then we carry on as normal with the Necron turn, and then on to the next Space Marine turn after that. And there is an example in the Space Marine turn of shooting using a frag grenade, but just to point out here, it says under point 2b, Space Marine rolls D3 attacks, but it should actually be D6 as we saw on the first turn, so that's probably just a typo. Just to point that out in case you're confused if you've read this. And to win the game, the Space Marines have to destroy the Necron Royal Warden before the end of the Necron player's 4th turn. So if they fail in that, the Necrons win. And as it says in the rematch, we are supposed to play this game 3 times and record different locations for each. So we will indeed roll off on the table and see what we're going to be fighting for our first game. So before the start of the game, we need to decide what our objective is, using the table that we roll on from right at the beginning of the magazine, as you saw earlier.
Yeah, the battle record for the Munitorum.
So D6 on the table, roll a 3.
So first battle is going to be over the Prometheum refinery.
So we'll set that up and get into that game. And here we are with our board. We've got the Necrons on the left and the Space Marines over on the right hand side. And the Captain is basically where he is in the example for now, although technically he can be deployed anywhere within 3 inches of his table edge. And we've also got our new terrain pieces on the board, so we've filled up all of the printed terrain now. The Space Marines get to go first, so we'll be on to Space Marines turn 1.
So we're miles away from the Necrons, so I think both of my units are going to advance, or all the Assault Intercessors first. And they get to go 5, and the Captain 4. Yeah, they're just going to move up. Captain's hanging back a little bit, just so it's harder for the Royal Warden to get him into range. No shooting or charges, obviously, because both my units advance, and that'll be my turn.
So we'll be on to Necron's turn 1. And I've moved my models like this, so the Necron warriors have come across the table to get into the middle, and I think get all of them within 12-inch range of the Assault Intercessors. Every model keeping it within 2 inches of 2 other models in the unit, because that's the coherency rules for a larger unit, as we learnt about a few issues ago. And the Royal Warden has moved down from his corner to the back of the board, but he will now benefit from the Lookout Sir, assuming there's still Necrons near him. Then we're on to the shooting phase. The Royal Warden will shoot first. He can only shoot the Assault Intercessors, because the Captain is protected by Lookout Sir. He has 4 shots, hitting on 3s. Getting 3 hits. And winning on 3s, strength 5, 2 wounds.
5 plus armour saves. Oh, melded 1, that's important because it's 2 damage. So I'll take away this guy.
And then all the Necron warriors will shoot at the Assault Intercessors. Do the 10 shots from the Gauss Reapers first. These are the strength 5 ones, hitting on 3s. That's 6 hits. Wounding on 3s, strength 5, 5 wounds.
5 plus armour saves. Oh, made 3. That's still enough to kill another Assault Intercessor. Take away this chap near the Captain.
And 10 shots from the Gauss Flayers, which are all now within range to shoot twice, being fire weapons. Getting 6 hits again. Wounding on 4s, because these are strength 4, 3 wounds.
3 4+ saves. Ooh, failed 2, it's another dead Assault Intercessor. And so we'll take away this guy at the back.
And that's the end of my shooting, and I'm not going to declare a charge, even though I could technically do that, because I'm within 12 inches. So we're on to Space Marines turn 2.
So my movement phase, both my units are going to move up normally. I'll do the assault intercessor shooting first. This guy with a normal bolt pistol is going to throw a frag grenade at the Necrons, and the sergeant will fire his plasma pistol at the Necron warriors. So the frag grenade has d6 shots, and since this is a unit with 10 models, the minimum I can actually get is 3. So I rolled a 4, so that's 4 shots. Now I need to roll to hit with them, hitting on 3s. They all hit. Then wounding on 5s, because it's only 3. Yeah, nothing at all. Then the plasma pistol from the sergeant, only on normal power mode, he doesn't blow up. Hitting on a 3, he does. Wounds on a 3, he doesn't. And then the captain will fire his plasma pistol at the warriors as well. Hitting on a 2, not supercharging, which is important, otherwise he would have been killed himself.
Yeah.
And then we're on to the charge phase. The assault intercessors will declare a charge on the warriors only. Gonna need about 5, I think. Yeah, 9 is easily enough. And then the captain will charge as well, only the Necron warriors. Gonna need a half decent roll. Oh, a 10 is definitely enough. So the captain's going to come around there right on the edge of the warriors.
Yeah, I could heroically intervene with the Royal Warden, but I think that would be a very bad idea because then the captain would be able to hit him. He can't at the moment because he wasn't declared as a charge target. Then the Space Marines charge, so you get to pick first.
I'll do the captain first, just to get his important movement away. So he's going to pile in, getting closer to that Necron warrior, but also bringing in the Royal Warden. Can't attack the Royal Warden, but he's engaged, so he might try to fall back, in which case he can't shoot, or he might stay in melee, in which case I can fight him next turn. And the captain has 5 attacks with his power sword, hitting on 2s, 4 hits, wounding on 3s because he's doing 5. That's 4 wounds. Saving -3, so no saves. That's 4 dead Necrons.
I'm going to take away the 4 on this end. I could theoretically take away the ones that were engaged, but the assault intercessors are yet to pile in, so they would still keep the warriors in range. There's no chance I can get out of range. So I'll just take away the ones who won't be able to fight later. But then the assault intercessors get to go.
Yeah, and we have 7 attacks with them. With their chain swords hitting on 3s, getting 5, and wounding on 4s. You're only getting 1.
AP -1, so 5 plus save, which I may. I think it matters which order I do these, so I'll pick the Royal Warden next. He will actually pile in, he'll go this way, getting closer to the captain, and then obviously put his attacks on the captain. He has 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, they all hit. And wounding on 3s because he has strength 5, 2 wounds.
2 3+ saves for the captain, made both.
Then the Necron warriors get to go. They don't need to pile in because they're all within either an inch or within half an inch of someone who's within half an inch, and they will put all their attacks on the assault intercessors. There are a couple who could fight the captain, but we're not going to attack him. 6 attacks, hitting on 3s, 3, and wounding on 4s. Nothing. And that is the end of the turn. So we'll be on to Necron's turn 2. Well, there's not much more I can do other than fall back and form a wall around the Royal Warden, to be honest. I did think about keeping the warriors in melee. That would tie up both the Space Marine units, but I think they'd probably just cut them all down in this combat phase in my turn and then be free to move and charge in their turn. So I think we might just do this, hopefully the best chance of the Royal Warden escaping. But having fallen back, obviously I can't shoot or charge, so that's the end of my turn. So on to Space Marines, turn 3.
So in my movement phase, the captain's just going to move so he's an inch away, and then the assault intercessors are just going to move around a bit and again be an inch away. So we can try and attack from both angles, see if we can make a gap to get through to the Royal Warden. And then in the shooting phase, I do the assault intercessors first again. Sergeant fires plasma pistol, and then the assault intercessor, he'll throw a crack grenade instead actually. So I'll do Sergeant's plasma pistol first. He's not going to supercharge, hitting on a 3. He missed. Crack grenade from the other guy, hit. Wounds on a 3.
Yeah,
it does.
That's strength 6. It's AP -1, so this is a 5+ save. I failed. It would normally do D3 damage, but they've only got 1 wound, so it just kills a Necron. We'll take away this one here.
The captain's plasma pistol, not supercharging, hitting on a 2. It hits this time. Wounds on a 3. It does. That's a dead Necron.
I think we'll take away this one, because that's the best chance I've got of the captain not being able to engage the Royal Warden. The assault intercessors will probably be able to, but they might not kill him.
And then we're on to the charge phase. Do the assault intercessors first. They're going to charge both the Royal Warden and the Necrons. I get a 9, which is easily enough to get them in. And then the captain will charge just the Necron warriors. He gets an 8, but it's academic. So the captain will move in like that.
Then we're on to the combat phase.
Yeah, I'm actually going to do the assault intercessors first. And they're going to attack the Necron warriors. See if they can cut a path for the captain. 7 attacks hitting on 3s. All off to a good start. They all hit. Wounding on 4s, getting 4.
5+ saves. We've made 2, so 2 die. I'm going to take away this one here and this one here, with the hope that this will still allow the Royal Warden to escape.
So he's going to go like that.
This is this consolidating.
Yeah, and chap's going to have to come around here, I think. And the captain gets to go. So he's going to go like that. It's as close as he can get to the Royal Warden. Can't attack him, obviously he didn't declare him as a charge target. But the captain gets to fight the Necron warriors. So he has 5 attacks hitting on 2s. He got 2 misses. Wounding on 3s. Oh, 3 wounds, so they're both going to die.
And the captain gets consolidated.
Yeah, it's going to go right in there. Stop the Royal Warden escaping.
And then for what it's worth, the Royal Warden gets to fight. I suppose we might as well attack the captain. If we get very lucky, we might be able to kill him in 2 rounds of combat. 3 attacks hitting on 3s, getting 1. Wounds on a 3. Nope. That's the end of Space Marine's turn 3. On to Necron's turn 3. The Royal Warden cannot escape. The only thing he can do is go straight to the combat phase, where the Space Marines get to pick a unit to fight
I'm going to pick the captain. 5 attacks hitting on 2s. They will hit. Wounding on 4s, because it's toughness 5. Right, there's 3 wounds. AP minus 3.
So he needs 6 to save. We made 1 6, so he takes 2 hits is 4 damage, which is enough to kill him. That's a Space Marine victory in game 1, so we'll roll off to see what the next objective is. Now we'll roll off to see what our objective is for game 2.
Yeah, I'll do this one. Number 6, and that is ammunition storage.
So we'll set up the board again. So here we are prepared for the battle for the ammunition storage. It looks suspiciously similar to the Prometheum refinery. The deployment is much the same as it was before. So once again, it'll be on to Space Marines turn 1.
Like in the previous game, both my units advanced. Assault Intercessors rolled a 5 again, and the captain rolled a 6. He's going to hang back just a little bit, just to make him a little bit harder to shoot if the Royal Warden decides to have a go.
Yep, but that'll be the end of Space Marines turn 1, so we'll be on to Necron's turn 1. My Necron warriors have moved up, as they did last game, to get everybody in range of the Assault Intercessors. But the Royal Warden this time has just moved a little bit off his starting spot to get within 15 inches of the captain and to shoot him this time. And he's the closest target, so he doesn't benefit from lookout sir. I think if we can kill the captain, actually is a decent chance, probably for the rest of the game. And we'll start the shooting phase with the Royal Warden. There's 4 shots hitting on 3s. They all hit. Wounding on 3s. 3 wounds.
3 4+ invulnerable saves. Need to make at least one of these. Oh, I did. Down to 2 wounds.
Yeah, so the captain's down to 2, because those are 2 damage each. And then the Necron warriors are all going to shoot at the Assault Intercessors. 10 shots with the Gauss Reapers, hitting on 3s. 7. And winning on 3s. 4.
4 5+ saves. Ooh, there's 2 dead Assault Intercessors. I'll take away these 2 guys at the back from either end.
And then the Gauss Flayers, 10 shots, hitting on 3s. Ooh, 9. Wounding on 4s. Ooh,
Blimey,
7.
Well, 7 4+ saves. Oh, I made 4 of them, so 3 damage. It's a 1 dead Assault Intercessor, and another guy takes a wound. The guy in the middle will die. Chap at the end, who isn't the sergeant, will take a wound.
But that's me done shooting, and it's the end of my turn. So we'll be on to Space Marines turn 2.
Well, the Assault Intercessors are going to move up normally towards the Necron Warriors, and the Captain's going to move up normally towards the Royal Warden. I'm going to have to try and make a long charge. In the shooting phase, I'll do the Assault Intercessors first. The normal guy will throw a frag grenade like last time, and the Sergeant will fire his plasma pistol on standard mode. I do the frag grenade first. D6 shots. I roll a 2, but it's a unit with 60-10 morals, so it's upgraded to a 3. These hit on 3s, and they will hit. And they wound on 5s, getting 3.
Oh wow, 3 4+ saves. Oh, he actually kills 2 Necrons. Wow. So, we'll lose these 2 warriors off this end, I think.
The plasma pistol from the Sergeant. He was on standard mode, so he doesn't blow up. And the Captain's going to fire his plasma pistol at the Royal Warden. It's again on standard mode, hitting on a 2. Again, it doesn't explode either. Charge phase, I'll do the Captain first, because he's the very important one. Needing an 8. Getting a 9. And that gets him into contact with the Royal Warden. Then the Assault Intercessors will charge the Necron Warriors. Probably a 3, possibly. A 6 is going to be enough. Yeah, so they're just going to charge into the Warriors like that. Well, I'll do the Captain first, because he's the important one. 5 attacks hitting on 2s. They all hit. Wounding on 3s. 4 wounds.
So I need to make 3 6+ saves to live. I made 1. So he takes 6 damage and dies. So the Royal Warden goes down. And then that's going to be another Space Marine victory for the ammunition dump. Yeah, it doesn't even matter what the outcome of the other combat is. That's the Space Marine victory. But yeah, we will do the 3rd game, and we'll roll off to see where it's going to be fighting over. So the final key location we're fighting over will be number 5.
That is the shipping depot.
And here we are in the shipping depot, which again looks suspiciously similar, but this time the barrels and crates have been mixed up. The Space Marine deployment is the same. The Necron deployment, I've spread the Necron warriors out a little bit more, so we'll see if that makes a difference. As we head into Space Marines turn 1.
Yeah, so like in the previous games, my units advanced. The Assault Intercessors rolled a 6, whereas the Captain only rolled a 1. He's lagging behind a bit. Now that's going to be my turn.
So on to Necron's turn 1. Well, the Necrons have spread out into a long single rank, but they are still all within 2 inches of 2 other models in the unit. And the Royal Warden has moved behind them like this, and that Gauss flare on the end is not within 12 inches to shoot twice, but otherwise everyone is within 12 inches of the Assault Intercessors. So in the shooting phase, we'll actually start with the Royal Warden. 4 shots, hitting on 3s. Getting 3 hits, and wounding on 3s, all 3 wounds.
3, 5 plus saves. Made 1, 2 dead. So these 2 guys on the end will die.
We've got the 10 shots from the Gauss Reapers, hitting on 3s. 8 hits, wounding on 3s. 5 wounds.
5 plus armour saves. Made 3, blimey. Predictably the other guy at the back is going to die this time.
And then only 9 shots from the Gauss Flares, because one of them is not within 12 inches. It's 7 hits, wounding on 4s. 4 wounds.
4 plus saves, and I failed all of them, so the Assault Intercessors are all dead. So it looks like the Captain's going to take on all the Necrons alone.
Yeah, but that is the end of the Necron's turn 1, though. So we're on to Space Marines turn 2.
Now the Captain advanced, and he rolled a 4, and that gets him to here. He's going to try and hide behind the cargo container. But that's it for the 1 remaining Space Marine.
So on to Necron's turn 2. And my turn, the Royal Warden advanced. He rolled a 3, so he got to go 9 inches. He's running down here into this corner, and the Necron Warriors just shifted their line down this way. Basically just blocking off the Captain and trying to get as far away as possible. Then in the shooting phase, obviously the Royal Warden advanced. The 3 Necrons on the top end can't see the Captain, but that leaves the only ones who can see and are in range being 3 Gauss Flayers. Yeah, they're not within 12 inches, so 1 shot each, hitting on 3. They all hit, wounding on 4s, 2 wounds.
2 4 plus saves, made 1. Captain's down to 5 wounds.
But that will be the end of my turn, so we'll be on to Space Marines turn 3.
Reckon the Necrons have got it in the bag now. I doubt I'll be able to reach the Royal Warden, but the Captain might as well try and exact some vengeance for his fallen brothers. He's going to move 6 inches towards the Necron Warriors, and then he will shoot at them with his plasma pistol, I think. Single plasma pistol shot, not going to supercharge. He hit. Wounds on a 3, it does not. Then he will charge the Necron Warriors, getting an 8, that's definitely going to be enough. Okay. So the Captain's going to charge into the middle of the Warriors, pile into that chap. And he has 5 attacks hitting on 2s, or only getting 3, that charge of war amount. Wounding on 3s, getting 2.
So 2 dead. Yeah, I'll take the 2 off this end over here. And then the Necron Warriors get to go, so they'll pile in like this to surround the Captain, and then they can all fight him. 8 attacks hitting on 3s, 5 hits, and wounding on 3s. No, wounding on 4s, we've got 2.
2 3 plus saves. Failed 1, Captain's down to 4 wounds.
But that'll be it for Space Marine turn 3, on to Necron turn 3. Well, the Necron Warriors are going to fall back. I don't think the Captain can actually kill them all before the end of the game, but there's no sense staying in melee with him, so this means that the Royal Warden, who's moved into the corner, can shoot at him in the shooting phase. 4 shots hitting on 3s, 2 hits only, wounding on 3s, oh, just 1, so he's not going to die.
4 plus invulnerable save, he made it.
But that is the end of Necron's turn 3, so on to Space Marine's turn 4.
So the Captain's, realistically, he'd be back here. He probably can't be there, but it looks more cinematic if he stands on the box.
Yeah, I don't think he can get there without getting in within engagement range, but it doesn't really matter at this point.
Yeah, so he's going to throw a frag grenade in his shooting phase, and if I roll really, really well, I might kill enough Necron Warriors to get to the Royal Warden. And he gets, single hit. That's upgraded to 3. Hitting on 2s. 1 hit. Wound on a 5? No. Yeah, so unfortunately without Dud Grenade, the Captain can't possibly reach the Royal Warden, so I think we'll call it there and call that a Necron victory.
So the Necrons do manage to secure the shipping depot, but they have overall been beaten in these games for this issue. So we'll recap those games for you now. So, those were the games for issue 19 of Warhammer 40,000 Imperium magazine. How do you think that went?
Pretty well, to be honest. Probably slightly better than I'd expect. I do think basically as long as the Assault Intercessors survive the initial hail of fire, Space Marine's probably going to win. Also helps to roll well in your advance rolls. If I'd rolled poorly, I would have had another round of being shot at, and I think that would probably wouldn't have anything left.
Yeah, I mean, rolling well for the advance does put you in range of most of the Necron guns in the first turn, but it also means you can put off the second turn charge.
And I did roll really high for charge rolls as well, actually.
Yeah, you didn't fail a
I
charge.
fairly consistently rolled higher than average, so basically once the Space Marines are getting into melee, Necrons are probably doomed, especially if the captain gets in there.
Yeah, neither of these two Necron units are any good in melee. Yeah, it was definitely a game of melee units versus shooting units. Probably the tactic I adopted in the third game might have actually meant I would have done better in the earlier games, because you might not have got to the Raw Warden. But again, if you'd had any assault intercessors left and the captain hadn't been at the back in the third game, it might have still been possible. We've had a game like this before, which is basically the same, where you just had 8 assault intercessors rather than the captain, and in that game I think you only had 3 turns to kill the Raw Warden. It was against the same forces. In this game you had 4 turns to kill the Raw Warden. Obviously in the last game it wasn't enough, but if things go a bit better for you, especially if you get that second turn charge, 4 turns is more than enough.
Yeah, I suspect if the reason why I had 3 turns in the previous one is that if I had 4 turns, then the Space Marines probably have too many assault intercessors for the Necrons to hold them back. I think I was tempted to try and shoot as well, but
I think we determined in the conclusion to that game that you're better off advancing in your first turn, because that way
you need to get into melee as soon as possible.
Yeah, I think standing back and shooting with the pistols doesn't really achieve very much.
Also, I have 2 units this time as well, rather than 1 big unit. Makes me a bit more flexible. Yeah, we also learned about the rules for grenades, and pretty much every Imperium unit use frag and crack grenades. And they're nice to have. You're probably mostly just going to use them for a melee unit. Have a guy chuck one, because it's almost always going to be better than a pistol. But
if you actually had a shooting unit, then usually their default guns are better than grenade.
Yeah. And frag grenades I don't think are going to be specifically useful. I guess we learned the rules for blast weapons as well, how they hit a large units. That's another reason potentially to not take large units. Frag grenades being only strength 3 probably aren't going to be too useful against Necrons. Crack grenades, however, are pretty handy. Reasonably good chance of damaging light vehicles. Also quite good against lone characters, just to get extra damage. D3 damage is enough to upset a Raw Warden.
And also, later on we will get some Necron units that have multi-wounds per model, so they can be quite handy against those as well. Because against Necromories, the D3 damage doesn't matter, but if it's a 2-wound model, for example, you can take one out with a single grenade, which obviously the Assault Intercessor's pistols can't do normally. And obviously, because only one model can throw one, so it's not a massive increase in firepower, but if you have several characters, for example, who can all chuck grenades, it can be
the
effective.
captain can throw a grenade instead of his plasma pistol.
Obviously, it's not just grenades that are blast weapons as well. You do get bigger guns. I don't think we get that many with this collection, possibly a few, but it does mean that certain things like a big tank gun would be better against bigger units, which is what you'd expect them to be, because
it's a bit weird to have a big tank cannon fire at a huge unit and only hit 1.
Yeah.
Well, they can still miss. You still have to roll to hit. You just get potential hits. But
it's also the first time we've had a multiple shot weapon that doesn't automatically hit, like the flamethrowers as well. So, yeah, it can be variable. Obviously, the blast rule helps against bigger units to be.
Flame weapons, unfortunately, are not blast weapons.
Oh, and we got the final terrain for this board with this issue, which I suppose it looks quite good once it's all painted up.
Yeah, and I didn't paint my blue container with the grey panel in the middle because I ended up painting it beforehand because I had a spare one. I did all the blue and shaded it, and then I didn't really bother to go back and do it grey. It doesn't really matter in the end. I mean, they're fairly versatile terrain pieces, and obviously you can have them with the doors open as well, so you can actually shoot through them. You can take the storm bottles off and stack them, so they're useful to have. And the barrels and stuff are nice to have as scattered terrain, or you can make big piles of it and actually be impassable. Although unfortunately, since this is a full Munitorum Armoured Container kit, which I think is about £30, so with the magazine, you're not really getting any savings.
No, we got this same stuff as these 3 containers, 3 sets of boxes and barrels with Conquest, but that magazine was slightly cheaper, so it did work out a bit cheaper. But here you were only saving about £3.
And kind of nice to have more background, how the fighting is spilling out of the Necron tombs now, and adding a bit more background to where we're actually fighting and what we're fighting over.
Yes, it made it a bit more meaningful to even though we knew the Necrons had lost playing the third game as well, just to see if they could hold one of the locations.
It's adding your own narrative to what's happening.
Yeah, and that is actually a part of the hobby that they like to emphasise, is making your own narrative behind your games rather than just being a load of plastic soldiers that you put on a table to actually get immersed in the story that the game is showing, I suppose. So it's nice to have that a little bit. And we expect there'll be a bit more of that to come as well. As we get more stuff, I imagine that there'll be more story. That's been the case with previous magazines. But I think that's it for this video in this magazine. So if you enjoyed this content, please leave a like and subscribe. Let us know how you did in this game if you played it. Let us know what you did with your containers as well, if you painted them in any interesting ways or made any interesting dioramas out of them or anything. We've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.